On Sunday, I obviously felt super upset just watching that final scene of the episode. That final scene made me feel like the election makes me feel every single day. Just sick to my stomach, sad and depressed. Because no matter what happens after this, there's no way that something good comes out of this. Like, that's the exact same feeling I get. I would like to take a moment to examine Hodor's face. This is the face of a man who, as far as we know, did absolutely nothing wrong. The only thing he did was protect the people that he was supposed to protect. And how does he get paid? By holding a door and having some fucking zombies rip at his flesh. I really like this next shot of him because you can just see his resolve in his face. I think at this point, I think he realizes that he's done for, and that if he has to go out this way, then he's gonna hold that door like nobody has ever held the door before, like a boss. And I know we didn't get any confirmation about what happened to him, really. Like, it's implied that he died, heavily implied, but this is Game of Thrones, and I just don't see why they would, like, abstain from showing, like, him being killed, since they've shown so much death already. But we'll find out for sure what happened to him next week, because we're still following Bran. I take solace and refuge in the idea that this world is going to end soon. I think that'll just be the best. No, but, oh god, I think it was just so depressed. It's like, damn, like, Hodor, just, one of the most lovable characters. Just, it's like, life's a bitch and then you die. That's what happened to Hodor. Oh my god. Like, and then we find out that the Children of the Forest created the White Walkers. That's some pretty intense social commentary, if you ask me. And the fact that, we create our own demons, and then the demons that we create end up consuming us. Which brings me to Bran, who's a complete fucking moron. No, I'm kidding. He's not a moron. He just caused everything that went bad in this episode by being too curious. Now, this actually does kind of like, bring up a legitimate question, which is, did Bran cause what ended up happening, or did what happened, was that something that was already written in stone that was supposed to happen? Does Hodor always become Hodor? Does he always get entrusted to hold that door? Hold the door, hold the door, hold the door. It's just super sad. I mean, what happened to him as a kid? Like, Bran just literally just ruined his life. But then again, like, Jaime threw Bran off of a fucking tower, and that led him down this path. So, and so my question is, did the Three-Eyed Raven know that this was what happened to Hodor? And if he knew, if he saw into the future, I mean, he obviously knew that the warnings that he was giving Bran was not going to work. They were not going to work. He's going to go into the past no matter what he said. So why would he even say that? I mean, time traveling and storytelling has to be handled, very meticulously, because you create enough loopholes, and sometimes you end up writing yourself into a corner. Now, I'm not saying this is the case. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. But it's like, the implications of time traveling in Game of Thrones. I mean, imagine all the shit that Bran can cause, or has caused, just by this. And then, I even got a theory on Facebook. One of my viewers, he sent me a theory, and he says, or, I guess, I don't know if this is a popular theory, which states that maybe the Three-Eyed Raven was actually Bran, and he was just guiding Bran along the way. That's why he can't walk, because he's Bran. He's stuck to that tree because he can't move his legs. And it also might explain why the Night's King gave him that knowing look before he killed him off, because he's been chasing him or something. But that, regardless of that, like, Bran has been marked, and he's gonna have, like, this army of White Walkers on his ass everywhere he goes.
Unless he finds help, and even then, it would just be a place to hide. Because if he doesn't find a place to hide, he's fucking dead. And another question that I have is Mira taking Bran northward, or are they going back to the Wall? Here's the thing, right? If Mira is taking Bran back to the Wall, which, at this point, it's their only hope of survival, I think that's going to be absolutely devastating, and here's why. Well, let me give you a brief history lesson first, alright? The Wall was built by a guy called Bran the Builder. Just remember, Bran the Builder. Now, the Wall is not just a piece of ice. It also has magic, and it was built to keep away the others to stop them from invading Westeros, right? Now, Bran has now been marked by the Night's King, and we saw that because of that mark, the Night's King is able to overstep the barrier that was placed on the tree to get to Bran. Therefore, the magic of the Children of the Forest cannot protect Bran anymore, or cannot stop Bran from being followed by the Night's King, right? So what do you think is going to happen when Bran, who is marked, crosses the wall into Westeros, and you have an army of the dead following him? I think Bran's mark negates the magic at the wall, and he's going to cause the invasion if he crosses over. If that's the case, it would actually have some type of poetic symmetry in a way, because Bran the Builder was the one in charge of building the wall, and now Bran, by the way, Bran the Builder is also the founder of House Stark, but now Bran Stark is actually going to be the person responsible for the wall coming down. And we already knew that the invasion was going to happen, but now it's kind of like the catalyst may be Bran, and that is not a good position to be in. Now, here's the thing, right? Another thing that supports this theory is the fact that in Sunday's episode, we literally saw Jon, Sansa, Brienne, Melisandre, and Davos leave the wall. Well, what a coincidence that some of the major players of the story happen to leave the wall just when you have an invasion of White Walkers about to come to town. Now, yeah, I mean, it just makes, in terms of story purposes, think about it. It's kind of like a contrived thing that they left, and now it's kind of, well, they left because had they stayed, they'd be fucking dead, all right? And that's why they need to gather the army, because as soon as the Battle of the Bastards is done, you're going to have to face north. Hopefully by that time, a significant portion of Westeros is united against the threat coming in from the north, and they can hold a front. But this is Game of Thrones, where everybody just cares about themselves, so I really doubt that's going to happen.
I thought it would have been a really good plot twist if Euron had just died after his baptism, because there was a very long pause when he just wasn't breathing at all, so it would have been a little bit anticlimactic. But I'm not sure what the purpose of the Greyjoys is long term. I mean, Euron says that he wants to seduce Daenerys with his fleet, but I'm like, she has 3 dragons under her, dude, plus a Dothraki army. I'm not sure if a fleet's going to be that impressive. I mean, at least Theon and Yara had the sense to leave during the montage. I mean, it was just very basic. So, Euron shows up, he's like, killed your father. Vote me as ruler, and Theon and Yara just like, okay, goodbye. We're gonna take your ships now. Bye. I thought it was pretty cool how this is the very first episode in which we see both Varys and Littlefinger be vulnerable. I'm not sure I like the feeling, though. I mean, I especially felt for Varys, because unlike Littlefinger, Varys is not a lying piece of shit. But yeah, it was just really weird to see them in such a vulnerable state for different reasons. And this whole thing just kind of introduces the conflict with the conversation with the Red Woman, just kind of brings us to think about, okay, who really is the promised one? Is it Daenerys or is it Jon? Unfortunately, I also have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed in Sansa in doing exactly what Littlefinger kind of implied or sort of suggested that she should do after everything she's been through. And not only that, but she lied to Jon. I don't understand the need for that. It was a little bit weird for Sansa to do that, but I mean she's still growing, I suppose. The only thing I remember from the Arya section of this episode was a certain uncircumcised specimen just flashing on screen without warning. That and I'm pretty sure Arya's getting ready to leave. It's so obvious just by looking at her expression, the way she was looking at the play, which was mocking her father. It's like she's about to pack her bag. Something's going to go down in the House of Black and White. I think she's beginning to realize that she's incapable of just being no one. And she confronts Jaqen on his orders, all the time, just talks back to him. And Jaqen told her in this episode, you are a servant. And I just totally, that's against Arya's nature, I think. So I think she's going to be leaving pretty soon, but not before getting a couple of kills in. And I really like Jaqen's quote when he tells Arya, "Does death only come from the wicked and leave the decent behind?" Thanks for that foreshadowing to the ending of this episode. Hold the door! Hold the door! Fuck you, Jaqen. You're making me sad again. I also have to give props to Emilia, because that was some pretty good acting. Just look at her eyes there. They're filled with pain. as she says goodbye to her friend. This friend that has seen her grow into the woman that she is today. And I love the Jorah and Daenerys relationship. And now it's kind of like, I know she did tell him like go find the cure, but this is Game of Thrones, and I really doubt that Jorah and Daenerys are ever going to meet up again. I mean, in a perfect world, in a fairy tale ending world, that would happen, but this is Game of Thrones, so I also think that Dario is either going to betray Daenerys or he's going to die pretty soon. I mean, he's just too cocky for the Game of Thrones world, and I mean, theoretically speaking, he's accomplished the mission of finding her, and I think they're going back to Moraine, right? So I don't know. It's what is Dario's mission here? He may be involved with the Sons of the Harpy for all we know. But I'm also pretty sure that the negotiations of Meereen are not going to work because it still has to be attacked. We saw this shot of the doors blowing up in the trailer, and we still haven't seen that yet. So I'm pretty sure it's going to happen pretty soon.
This is kind of a weird season of Game of Thrones in that I think that we haven't had a shitty episode, like period. But yeah, this was that ending, man. For Hodor, for Hodor, man. Fight those White Walkers, win against them for Hodor. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed this review/predictions video. I'm sorry it was so late. It will not happen again. I will catch you on Monday for my review of episode 6 of Game of Thrones. Thanks, guys. Comment down below with your thoughts. Bye.